Welcome to the Olathe Spark Starters podcast.
Welcome to Olathe Spark Starters, where it is our mission to inspire innovative ideas and empower educators to cannonball into personalized professional learning. On episode 1, we will hear stories of how 6 Olathe educators stumbled upon an idea in Twitterverse.
I'm Abigail Crane, and I teach 9th grade English at Olathe West High School.
I'm Janelle Stegall, and I teach 3rd grade at Madison Place Elementary.
I'm Ariel Jenkard. I teach 4th grade at Briarwood Elementary.
I'm Josh Stock. I teach 6th grade language arts at Santa Fe Trail Middle School.
I'm Julie Fishburne. I teach 9th and 10th grade social studies at Olathe West High School.
Hi, I'm Andrea Polakovich, and I previously taught grades 6 through 12 English language arts. I now have the honor of serving teachers across our district through Learning Services.
Okay, so I logged into Twitter one day, and I had a zillion notifications, so I thought, Andrea must have sent me something awesome, and I couldn't wait to log in, and I checked, and it was this invitation. She's like, guys, I want to start a podcast. Who's in? And I jumped at the chance. I don't know about you guys, but I was super excited at first.
I think I was a part of that chat too, and I said, yeah, sounds good, count me in.
I love the Teach Like a Pirate Twitter chat, and every Monday night I join in because I glean so many amazing ideas. And that night in particular, Dave Burgess was leading it with Tara Martin, who's their new director of communications. And they asked, what's a wild idea you have? And I always thought it would be amazing to have a district-wide podcast because then we could shine a light on the amazing things that are happening across our district that people aren't even aware of.
I think that's the great thing about Twitter is that when you tag somebody else, you do get a notification, like Abby said. And I immediately jumped on there and was able to see and pick up the conversation and shared that excitement for this new project.
Why did you guys decide to join in and be a part of this podcast?
So I got an email that was like, hey, we'd like to have an elementary perspective on our podcast. And I was super excited because I think it's really important for elementary and middle school and high school to all connect and think about how we're working together and doing what's best for kids on all levels. And so I was super excited to jump on.
And what I think was so cool about that, Ariel, is that I didn't even really know who you were because I've spent the majority of my career in this district at the secondary level. But because of Twitter, I knew who Ariel was. I knew who Janelle was because you guys share so many amazing things about what's happening in your schools.
And that's the exciting thing about Twitter. I love Twitter because we are able to have this professional learning network that lets us into classrooms across the district, across the country. I can get into Josh's classroom. I can get into Ariel's classroom. I can get into everybody's classroom each day, even my coworkers' classrooms who I normally can't get into. So, and hopefully this podcast will let us see into the classrooms of teachers who might not be on Twitter and might not have their voices heard or their greatness that they're doing shared.
And that's something that I kind of saw on a building level. Julie and I just opened Olathe West, which is the newest high school in the district. And just with all the glass, there's just literal transparent rooms. And then now our teaching practices are more transparent. And I'd love to see that happen more at a district level amongst us and kind of the conversations we're happening and sharing what's going on.
Well, and like Andrea was saying, I don't always know what's going on at the elementary level. And so that was part of the reason why I jumped on board with the podcast is because I wanted to hear what's going on at, the elementary level, at the high school level, hearing those stories that I don't always get a chance to hear, hearing different subject areas, hearing these things that I don't get a chance to experience. And so I wanted to hear some of those stories and help share those stories for others.
And I think that's the cool part about collaboration is that even though I am a secondary teacher, there's a lot to be learned from other teachers who teach at different levels. And I've collaborated with teachers at the elementary level and gotten some really great ideas that I've morphed into my own classroom that have been really exciting and kind of rejuvenated my own class. That there are things that we can learn from each other, even if we are not in the same content area or we don't teach at the same grade level. That collaboration piece is still very powerful.
I think I'm ultimately most excited about not only sharing what's going on within Olathe amongst teachers, but amongst our community. So often when people ask me, what do I do? And they find out that I'm a teacher, they say, oh, those kids, that must be really hard. And there's such a negative story centered around this profession. I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to really elevate the profession and give our community and non-teachers a chance to see, wow, these are amazing things happening in our classrooms. Kids are amazing, and I can't wait to share all of that with everyone.
I recently finished a book entitled Motion Leadership by Michael Fullen, and I love how he says that true change cannot happen in a district, specifically large districts, without collective capacity. And so I think this is one way that we can help build collective capacity and collaborate across the district, because we can't work in silos. We can't see ourselves as Santa Fe Trail and Mission Trail and Ridgeview Elementary. We have to see ourselves as a team. And so I think one part of doing that is sharing stories and shining a light on all the amazing that's happening in our district. And another way that we really can do that is through Twitter. And so I just love to hear your stories about how Twitter has helped you grow professionally.
I have always been someone who has done the next thing. I get bored easily. And so Twitter has allowed me to see so many new and exciting things that can invigorate my teaching. After 26 years, I could easily be doing the same thing I did 26 years ago. And I am lucky enough to get bored easily because it makes me want to throw away my lessons at the end of the year and write new lessons. And Twitter helps me have someone right at my fingertips. If my coworker isn't doing that new thing, I can find somebody who is, and I can talk to them and I can ask them questions and I can share with them, and we can get ideas together across wherever, whether they're in Australia or Canada or Europe. It's exciting for me to be able to have change come to my classroom that way.
So I was actually in a really lonely place of I'm reading all these exciting books and hearing about these innovative things going on in classrooms, but I had no one to talk to about it. A lot of my coworkers around just were like not interested or didn't have time to read, and they just kind of thought I was crazy. So I needed someone to like talk to because I was so excited, but I had no one. It was just like talking to my husband, who he had no interest. So I eventually, my husband actually is the one that said, get on Twitter. Like, there are probably tons of teachers out here. And so I did. I got on Twitter and kind of dabbled a little bit. But once I went to a conference and was able to connect with these people and, face to face, and I saw they were on Twitter, and it was, reach out to me, ask questions if you run into road bumps along the way. And I was just amazed. And from there just grew exponentially, making connections with people that I hadn't met face to face. And now I had this tribe of people that I could share my crazy ideas with and talk about books and just ask for advice and ask those crazy, wild questions and just be, so inspired by others as well. So I came from a very lonely place, and now I have tons of friends.
Oh.
Well, so my story is I have found that I've connected with a lot of people, not just other teachers, but I've also had the opportunity to connect with a lot of the authors of the books I read.
Yeah.
I reach out to them. And what's nice is you may send them an email and they don't respond, but on Twitter they respond. And so my students have contacted authors. I've had contacts with podcasters, and then you go and have coffee when they're in town. I mean, it's just all these weird connections that you don't
Skype
expect.
with them
Yeah, and so it's just a great way to connect with people that you wouldn't expect to be able to connect with. And so that's been my experiences, just those connections, again, that you make with different people. What I also like is that it's not just educators. And so I've connected with, people from the business world and people from all walks of life. And that's a great experience, too, because it helps broaden what I'm bringing to the classroom. So I follow all kinds of people on Twitter, and it's just entertaining. It's enriches my teaching experience. So
I think a point that you made that's so important is that when all of us started teaching, there was no way that we would get someone like Dave Burgess, Kelly Gallagher, Nancy Atwell, all of these amazing authors to be able to give us ideas, talk to us just like we're friends. Mm-hmm. And now because of Twitter, you can direct message people and they respond. So I think if nothing else, you're really missing out if you're choosing not to join Twitter and just continue to grow professionally.
And your kids can get so much from it. Lauren Tarshish, who wrote the I Survived series, she will talk back with your kids. She will, she posts wonderful research that she does as she's doing her, as she's preparing to write. She posts all the research that she does so you can see that and so that the kids can see that. And it's just amazing.
And they can see the process of an author as they're going through it.
Yes, and she will talk back.
I think what we've really realized is that unlike any other social media platform, Twitter is about learning. And for me, as probably the youngest teacher in this room, when I first got out of college, I was like, great, I have my degree, I'm certified, I'm done. Like, I'm the expert now. And that's when I got onto Twitter, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much out there that I have to learn. And I think it's really reminded me that my job is teaching and learning alongside my kids. And Twitter is one avenue that I can do that.
The other thing I'd say about Twitter is it's very, the level of experience needed to use Twitter is very, very low. The bar is very low. You create your account and then you just start connecting with people. And that's what I like about it is you don't have, the barrier for entry is not very high. You don't have to learn a whole new way of doing things. I mean, it's very, once you learn what, once you learn what a hashtag is, you're pretty much set. And then as you connect with people, you connect with more people and then connect with more people. And then you start to realize, oh, this person is saying things I really like. I want to follow that person. So
Abby, you said something about transparency in your classroom that I thought was really cool. And just to be totally transparent here, Twitter was a very scary thing and intimidating for me at first because I really didn't understand how it worked and what I could gain from it. And I took some baby steps and joined Twitter and started small. And it's amazing how much I've learned being able to connect with other people, not only in the district, but across the country and even across the world, and learn and be able to collaborate. And I think it kind of just was a snowball effect, you know, when you hunger that learning or you have that desire and you get that fulfilled on Twitter. It's easy and it's accessible. You can do it when it's convenient for you, and it makes like you the driver of your PD vehicle versus PD being done to you. And Janelle, I've been in education for over 20 years and it's changed so much from whenever we started. And I think to not evolve with it is kind of to do your kids an in-service or a disservice. And only because, you know, I was around some people that were quote unquote done, like their lesson plans were done. And that was kind of the goal for some people. And I inadvertently kind of adopted that as my own goal. And fortunately got really complacent in my classroom because I did all my lessons and I did all my tests and I was kind of on autopilot. But the thing was, I was really unhappy. And it was collaborating and connecting with other educators and getting on Twitter and learning the new ideas that Abby's talking about, and not being afraid. Sometimes cannonballing is just going up to the edge and putting a toe in the water. Until you get that confidence and that courage to just go ahead and take the plunge. And I'm so grateful I did.
I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking if you're worried about taking the plunge on Twitter, you could always meet with the Olathe Teacher Talk group, which meets once a month. There's a group of elementary teachers who have set up a group that meets once a month. It's definitely not only elementary teachers who can come. Basically what it is we set up a place where you can come and you can really talk about whatever you want to talk about. So if a group of English teachers want to come and sit and talk about English at a particular spot on a certain day, they can do that and they can get points. So you can come and you can do your own PD. So if all the social studies teachers in the district want to come together on Monday at Olathe Teacher Talk, then they can sit in the corner while a group of English teachers sits in the other corner and while a group of music teachers sits in another corner. I think that's exciting. It's exciting that we have a spot where teachers can do that. You can do it on Twitter, but you can also do it face-to-face. So, and that has come about.
Where do they find out about
They can find out about it on Twitter.
So if they follow you,
if they follow me on Twitter, they can find it. Yeah.
And I think what's so important of what Julie said, is that it's okay to be a lurker. There's so many people in this district that are like, well, I really don't know what to do. So if you just need a lurk, so get into a chat and just sit there and just watch and see what happens, because you're terrified. But then, like Julie said, you have to